The younger version of Barbie, and if we measure her at her waist, she's 5 inches, so the cake would only need to be 5 inches deep. So I'm going to show you how to decorate her and use her for a cake. First off, I'm going to be wrapping her legs so that no icing gets into the crevices of the doll. I'm using the Glad Press and Seal. As you can see, it sticks very nicely to the doll. There we go. And now I'm just going to cover her head to avoid any icing getting into her hair. There we go. And this way it'll keep her clean. And she's ready to be dressed in sugar. So keep her arms up. We'll just facilitate things. Not everybody wants to use fondant to decorate, but it sure does give it a nice look at the top of the doll. And so if you don't want to use fondant, I have a suggestion here, some chewy candy. This is Jolly Rancher, and I got this, a big bag of it. They have big bags of it now because it's Halloween almost. And you can pick out the colors that you want. You really don't need a lot, since I just have to roll them out and make this small shape. Try to gather up the same color. I would think that probably 5 would be enough. And you can soften these in the microwave for a couple of seconds. Really don't do it for a long time because the sugar gets hot and you'll burn yourself when you handle it. And then you can roll it out. We'll cut it with the cookie cutter and put it on her chest. I put it in the microwave for 10 seconds and it's perfect. It's not hot, but it's soft enough to, you know, melt them all together. So you can use cornstarch on this, no problem. You have to work a little fast so that it doesn't cool down too much. It's not going to crack or anything, but it's just for you to be able to handle it, to keep it, you know, soft and pliable, I mean. And so here with the cutter, cut your shape. It's not super soft, but it might be more forgiving to someone who's not used to working with fondant. And there we go. So there's the heart. And you're going to need to add a little bit of water to the back so that it becomes sticky to stick onto the doll. So you don't need a lot. Just brush it on to the back of the heart here. There we go. And just carefully pick it up. And then you can just press it onto the doll. Like that. There we go. You get a very nice shape here because of the heart on the upper part. There we go. And on the back, you don't even have to add anything. She can have an open back dress. And now you can lower her arms, and there you go. She has a nice heart-shaped bodice. Now, here's the doll that's covered in Jolly Ranchers. You can use basically any chewy candy. You could use Starburst. They work really well. I've actually used those before in push molds. So I've got a Jolly Rancher right here. And I'm just rolling it out. I didn't even put it in the microwave. They're fresh, they're new. Sometimes when candy's been sitting on the store shelf, they're a little bit tougher. You're going to need to put it in the microwave, but these are new for Halloween this year. And so they're very pliable. And you just have to roll it out on your table and make a long spaghetti rope. You'll be able to use that to make the straps on the doll. So I've rolled out my Jolly Rancher. This is actually half a Jolly Rancher. And I've rolled it out quite small, and I'm just going to make a little fold here in the center. And I'm going to add a bit of water to, don't over wet your brush. I'm going to just add a bit of water on the edge so that it sticks to the doll. And now I can place it here on the center of her, and then just put your finger here to hold it, and then you can take it to the back like that. Cross it. You can just press here so that gets a little flatter, and then you can use a knife here just to trim off the excess. You can add a bit of water there just so that it touches the edge of the heart shape that we put on earlier. So this candy is quite forgiving, actually. There we go. And there, she's got a cute little top on. This remains quite sticky, so you don't need to put it in an airtight container, but just make sure it's not around anywhere where it could get dust that could stick on it, just to keep it clean. Alright. I've got a polymer push mold here, and I'm just pressing a little amount of the candy in there. It's quite sticky, so just, and then it popped right out, was stuck to my finger, and then you can just add a little smidgen of water, really not a lot, and you can. So there's my little Jolly Rancher dress Kelly doll. So as you can see, it looks very professional, and it's just little candies. The kids might be fighting to get it, you know, eat these things. I've been eating a lot of these Jolly Ranchers myself. And so there you go. That'll be ready to go to just slip in the cake. I put my little candy in the microwave for 5 seconds. And you see, they're nice and soft. They make the perfect. They're not going to get really hard when they firm up because this is chewy candy, but they're going to stay firm enough to decorate your cake. You'll need to work fast. If it hardens, just put it back in the microwave. It's sticky on the top, so it makes it a little bit hard to work, but you see there, makes very nice buttons. It seems to have like a shine to it. So make a few, whatever's left. I'm sure you'll have some volunteers to dispose of them. Once you pop out your buttons, just have a little piece of parchment paper on the plate. It'll facilitate getting them off the plate, because once it's in the microwave, it makes the candy stickier. Obviously it's more liquid, and so it'll just facilitate getting it off. If you want, in the Jolly Ranchers, there's some green, and with your hands you can just make some little diamond type shapes, and you could make some leaves for the flowers if you wanted. It's not hard, but it's a little bit difficult. Hard, I mean in texture. It's not that hard, but you might want to put it in the microwave for like 3 seconds just to soften it up. And then you see, you can shape some leaves, and that can sit underneath the little flowers like that. And that can make some cute little accents on your doll. Here are the Jolly Rancher flowers. I think they're super cute. That'll look nice on the edge of the cake. And you won't need to buy any fondant. You can decorate the whole cake. Jolly Ranchers. I'm going to talk to you about the pans needed to make your doll or Barbie cake. Now they make an actual mold. This is it. This is for the doll skirt. You can purchase this if you anticipate making many of them. I found that if you overfill this pan, it takes absolutely forever to cook. It does come with a steel rod that conducts heat to the center of the cake, but really you can't fill it up completely or it'll just take, you know, really a ridiculous amount of time to bake. So what I do is I'll underfill and I'll do the other part with an 8-inch pan, and usually it seems to fit very well. I can ice the edge and it gives a nice straight edge to the skirt at the bottom. If you don't have one of these pans, you could always use an 8-inch pan, then a 6-inch pan, and I have this ball pan that's also 6 inches, and so when you stack these up, you'll also have a good shape. Here you can just trim the edge downwards to give it a better shape like a skirt, and often I've seen people use these metal bowls as well to bake. And so if you were to put that on top of this 8-inch pan, again, you can see all you have to do is trim the edge off here of the cake and it'll give you a good skirt shape. Don't forget to consider the doll's legs, how long they are. That'll tell you how much cake you need. Try not to make it too tall because then it takes away from the proportion of the doll. It looks strange. So I baked a box of cake mix. I think it was Duncan Hines. That's right. And this is all that it gave me. So this is a 6-inch cake, and it baked up to two inches, let's say, if we, you know, don't cut off the round too much. And then this is the ball cake, which is also 6 inches in diameter, and this is just about 2 inches. So I guess if you know, layer the cake and you add a lot of icing, it'll be fine. A little planning goes a long way to, you know, make this a pleasurable process. So if we measure the height of the cake, now there's no icing in there. This cake is 4.5 inches high. So factor in your doll's legs to where you want the skirt to finish, and the cake has to be that high. And so if you calculate another, let's say, 1.5 inches in icing, since I've sliced the cake 1, 2, 3, 4, there's going to be 4 times some filling. You know, it'll increase the height a little bit, so you have to really factor all that in. You might need to bake another cake if you're using a regular Barbie. The legs are very tall. I recommend you cut the hole for the doll before you start icing. Just it'll avoid squishing the icing out and everything. So I've got a little rectangle here. This is 1 inch by 1.5 inches, so this is exactly the right size for my Kelly doll here, her waist. I'm just going to slip this into the center of the cake and push down. And to cut through, you can just remove layers and it'll allow you to get in deeper. So just put it there so you can line up and keep cutting. Remove the layer and keep cutting. You're going to have to go all the way to the bottom. And this way your shape will line up. There we go. And then you can reassemble the whole thing, and your doll will slide in very easily. Now she's going to be too tall. You see, it doesn't line up, but I'm putting icing in between the layers, so this will make it taller and it'll hide her waist. I'm just working on this cake plate. It doesn't match, but you know, it doesn't matter. If you're making this for your daughter, she's going to be so thrilled with the cake. Use what you have. Don't knock yourself out. If you want around, you could add some candy or whatever to hide it. And really, there's one thing I've learned. My daughter's 10 years old. They don't sweat the details like this as much as we do. So just a bit of icing on the surface of the cake plate just so that it doesn't slide around. And then you can add your After you've got that first layer on, you can go around with some parchment paper just to ensure that the plate stays clean. It just makes the finish look a little bit better. You can certainly wipe it off after with a paper towel, but just makes it a little bit easier. So you can take a spoon and just glob it on a little bit. Some people prefer to do this step with a piping bag. You can control where you're getting the icing a bit more. Before working on the cake, I just want to show you on the parchment paper here how to pipe using this tip. And so there's a curve to it. There's some that are straight, just straight, and this one has a curve. I like it because then it curves up. So, and there's a side that's fat and a side that's thin. All right. So this is what we're going to be doing around the cake. Just this up and down movement to create a ruffle around the skirt of the cake. So here again, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And you can angle it more this way so that the edge curls up more of the skirt. So we're going to be doing that all around the cake. So you're not going to be actually using the spatula, and you won't have to worry about streaks and things like that. So here you can see I've inserted the doll inside the cake. It fits perfectly, and her hair is wrapped up, so I don't have to worry about getting her hair messed up. Alright, so now we're ready to go. We've practiced. The cake is inserted. Everything fits. We know we're not going to have any issues. So I want the fat end of my piping tip to be on the top. I want my curve to be outwards, so I have to be on this side for it to work. And I'm touching the base of my cake plate, and I'm just slowly spinning the cake all the way around. And if you want to stop, you just stop. You just start back up wherever you stopped. So this is why, like I said, you didn't need a lot of icing, because this will build up the icing. Obviously you'll have more than enough icing when you're done. So the next row you just go up a little higher. This requires absolutely no skill. As you get closer to the top, when you start your row, try to make sure you're starting from behind her, so that when the seam meets from your ruffle, that it's in the back. The row that's beneath it holds up the angle of the ruffle that's above it. air bubble. Another one. Alright, this is probably the last row we're going to need. Oh, the splash went on the front of her dress I just saw. We'll fix that up. I actually like it when things mess up so you can see how to fix things. And there we go. She's all ready to go. When fixing a mistake, try not to go in with your fingers. You'll just maybe mess up further. So here I've got a paintbrush and I'm just brushing on the buttercream that splashed up. And now I'm going to back up from the doll. There we go. And I'm just going to pull off the parchment paper that was protecting my cake plate. And now here, see, it popped up again with my paintbrush. I can just push it in. There we go. Try not to go in with your fingers. It's not even about sanitary reasons. It's about, you're just probably going to make a bigger mess than the one you're trying to rectify. Alright, so there she is. And the ruffles are quite busy. You don't want to go, you know, too crazy with sprinkles and all that. Sometimes all that will just mess up what you've done. So here I'm going to add some of those Jolly Rancher flowers that I had made, and I'm just going to have them go down the front of the dress. There we go. And I recommend now you put her in the fridge for the buttercream to stiffen before you undo her hair. Okay? So now we can lower her arms. That's fine. So you can either have them kind of just barely grazing the icing. I think that's enough. And now I'm going to put her in the fridge. I've removed our friend Kelly from the refrigerator. And you can just gently place her hair so that it doesn't touch. She's got a ponytail on, just so it doesn't go into the icing. And she's ready to go.